before we even start our meeting.
It's happened that it's slipped through my
I know that the municipality overall is trying to be more paperless.
Yeah.
And most of us have notebooks or whatever. I'm just wondering
We need paper.
if we need paper and if we don't need paper,
Okay, so
how would that work? Like, I mean, I think we need paper.
that's a discussion item.
Yeah, okay, well, we can do that as a
That's the agenda.
discussion item.
And then I can show you where.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so,
She did, yeah.
so for a quorum, do we include counselors? Is
Yes.
Allison's here?
Allison, yeah, we got one.
Okay, good. Then, sure, is it, I guess it's past 9:30. Let's start our meeting. So, has everyone had a chance to just quickly look at the agenda? There's not a very long list, and it's a lot of informational and discussion items.
So I'm going to have something for the staff update, as I said.
Okay.
And then let's add an item on, let's say, 8.1 new business that will be committee agendas.
Committee agendas?
For your session, paper, website.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, and calendar invites. Well,
Okay, that can be, okay.
okay. And then, I think that's it. Is there anything else we need to add to the agenda? Okay, so motion to approve the agenda. Okay, we'll take, Kevin, you were first, I think, and all in favor? Okay.
And here's the minutes for Allison.
Okay,
Do we have a quorum?
Yes.
we do.
Your quorum.
Without me?
No,
You're
We
quorum.
started the meeting. and I'm
Oh,
not here.
okay.
Are you in favor of the agenda as amended?
Well, what did we do on it?
We just added that we were going to talk about having our paperless agendas and sending
Item
calendar
8.1.
invites. Talking
Oh,
about
okay. Okay.
administration
Okay.
of our community.
If we didn't have quorum, it's all our fault.
Said stuff away,
Right.
And by the way, it's the members present to move into a closed meeting, not the full.
Oh, it
board.
is.
So we could actually have a portion of our meeting
No, we
closed.
can't find a reason to close,
Oh, I see.
so, no.
Okay, the approval of the minutes from our July 12th meeting. We have those in here. Yes.
They're okay with me,
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Is
just.
that page 6?
That it starts right on
Page
page
4.
Four. Number 2. You guys are very verbose a lot of times.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to second the motion.
Yeah, just double checking who's present, and I think that was right. Okay, so move to approve our last meeting minutes. Kim again, and Natasha second, and all in favor? Okay, we're in favor. So, do we have public comment? You don't have any public comments, do we?
Oh, do we have public comments?
Okay. Okay. Our action items on page 9.
Shall we do it?
Who's the?
This is the Business Engagement Working Group.
Yes.
So I think these are kind of Robin, find a champion who can start a co-working group.
Mm-hmm.
What's why would a co-working group?
Well, so from the home telecommuters session that happened at the
Okay, that was
co-commons.
the telecommuter session.
Yeah, that was,
So
So we don't have the capacity to get
I'm just
that
thinking
going.
if somebody's reading this and a year from now saying, maybe we should be saying telecommuters co-working group, just so people understand. I don't know. Just, I was curious as to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's a good point, and maybe,
I suspected that's what it was.
Where's Robin?
but I wasn't sure.
Robin's resigned.
Oh, okay.
okay, well,
So that's-
I wasn't sure if we were supposed to accept Robin's we can't accept the resignation, council has to accept it, right?
We haven't
Which
accepted it.
hasn't been accepted yet. And Robin did let me know ahead of time and stuff that she would be resigning, but it sounds like she wants to be engaged, as she has been, but just, I'm gonna put words in her mouth and say
She said the
that
business
she's
working
been,
group, the engagement
yeah.
working group. she wants.
she's,
Okay.
she's got so many other commitments that come into our meetings and trying to be on top of the economic development as well. So I think what this does actually is gives us an opportunity to have a more formal connection with Birch and the housing working group, you know, both through Helen's plan and otherwise. Unfortunately, fortunately, Robin will be there. She'll be the connection probably, I'm guessing. But we will have to, amongst our EDC group, have an ARC side of the connection.
Well, we've
And so
got
we'll have
a,
to figure that out.
yeah,
Who else is on the,
business engagement working group.
yeah, I mean, I am.
Yeah, you are an Ed. And,
Okay, so we have not met,
yeah,
so, since our last EDC meeting.
exactly. And so
So
we're gonna
none of
have
this
to-
has happened.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to also, you know, just regroup in our strategy and our planning for
Yeah.
the business engagement working group. And I think include Robin, but we'll have to have that conversation. with her.
Right,
So,
I've got Robin, Vaughn, Rod, Ed.
yeah,
Is
okay.
there anybody else that I don't know about?
No, I think that's it. Okay.
yeah. So we can, let's talk about our working groups and sort of our direction once we get through this. But refining the co-working group.
So I think the idea was that we don't have the capacity, so somebody from that meeting or in
Yeah.
that world could be
Yeah.
talked to take on that.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
and,
So-
but we need, I think to Allison's point, the language, like a co-working group of what? And it's really, it's like a
Yeah, so
hive it's about finding an actual location for people to co-work together.
Well, as long as it's
For
a
them.
telecommuting or a tech working group, just so I knew.
But that, we were actually talking about developing, well, not us developing, but
Yeah,
like having a co-working space.
yeah, so
Yeah,
this
but-
this is actually sort of
Yeah.
infrastructure, not virtual. And I think it's important
Right.
to highlight that.
Spaces almost, the spaces kind of idea.
Yeah, so
Co-working
it's-
group space, how's that?
But for what group?
I don't know that that's what they meant.
Telecommuter.
The results were that there were
Telecommuter.
3 different ways that people were wanting to connect.
Mhm.
Not everyone wanted to be in the same space together.
Okay,
So that somebody from that community needed to flesh out those
right,
desires and figure out ways of connecting.
okay.
So maybe with tapping into someone
So
from
all
the
you
business
have to
engagement.
add is co-working group for the tech.
So I'm sure, like, this is an old action that's from
Yeah.
old minutes where all the
Yeah.
information is in.
But it's not just tech council.
Home business
There were
and
also
tech,
home
yeah.
businesses.
Yeah.
We're telecommuters.
I'm not sure how we're gonna take that on, but
I think Robin was just gonna go to someone in that group and say, hey, you wanna start this?
Telecommuters.
Off you go. Let us
Yeah.
know if you need some support.
Or
You're just saying we should strike it?
workers or telecommuters, but not just tech.
maybe we
Oh,
can,
I thought it
I think
came
we
out of
should,
the tech.
I think we should talk about it again, quite frankly, in our working group,
Mhm.
and just maybe hash that through once more, just to think about what was.
So is that that's a business engagement working group item still, so,
Yeah, let's leave it on there as a to-do for us to talk
Okay.
about again.
Yeah.
Sorry, I asked the question.
So just to clarify, it started out of the tech, a call out to the tech sector.
Yeah.
But there were remote workers in different areas as well, so
Yeah.
we don't want to exclude them. There was a CFO, there was an architect, there were different engineering.
Oh, yeah, no,
types.
the whole idea behind
So
that
it's
one was,
expanded
yeah.
from tech, just to your point.
Yeah.
Okay, so telecommuting is more.
Telecommuting is one.
so, maybe.
These are just,
consider
like,
adding our business engagement.
notes, like, it's just,
Yeah.
a little reminder notice.
Well,
Not
that's when we
public
do that.
record fleshed out minutes or anything.
Okay, we killed it.
Okay,
I would also love to see us maybe trying to get the health and wellness luncheon that we were talking about. We were talking about it in the spring, but I think we
We
were.
talked
okay,
about it last meeting.
let's, because we're gonna do group updates, so during the business engagement update, let's talk about
Okay.
the business engagement, you know, what the schedule is, for sure. I think that's the spot for it. Okay, so, and then, I know there were attempts going on to meet with Tina or, on co-working spaces ideas, and that was Ed who was meeting with her, wasn't it? Who was meeting with Tina?
Why don't we just put down in progress,
Yeah,
because we don't know.
I don't even know who it was.
It's part of the same thing, and that's the same group.
Yeah, we had tried to get we had an email exchange
Yeah.
about trying to find a meeting time, and
Yeah.
it just kind of died. Like the,
Okay, so we're gonna continue that on.
That's the working group.
Working group. Okay,
Library survey is dead.
Done.
Yeah.
I followed up on the end of public road sign removal with Ian Brown, and he said, it's my like the public works team becoming, he said he was gonna do it, and if I heard no news is good news. He said he's only gonna report back to me if it didn't happen, so who noticed it on the road driving in today?
it's not there.
It's not
It's not there?
No.
okay, check. Okay.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I noticed that maybe even 3 weeks ago now.
Oh, great.
It's gone for a while, I think.
And of course, the revenue of the Artisan Square businesses has shot up through the roof.
All they need in there is a toilet, and they'll be great.
They've been having a good.
All right, moving along. We've done number 3 too, right? There was an
Yes,
article.
yeah, we're done with
Press release. This is the one Natasha you're referring to is the engagement schedule, so we'll talk about that in 6.1, but I don't think that happened. They've never met. So that's
We
ongoing.
have to schedule another meeting now and get
Yeah.
going again.
Yes.
Do you
Yeah.
guys have a chair of your working group?
You know, Robin, I think, was kind of the de facto lead of it.
She
so,
kind of did, yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's why. I think so.
Well, I think Vaughn's gonna have to volunteer.
Yeah.
So that's 6.1.
Okay.
Number 5, the digital roadmap working group. No one provided me with a statement, but I did approach the chairs, which is the next one. I've heard back from 4 out of, I'm gonna say 22. A couple of good responses, a couple of appropriate responses, a couple of responses that were more, that's actually gonna be item 6.2. This one is done. 5 and 6 are done.
Okay.
Number
You
1,
have a typo
long-term.
on 5. You got a hand.
Okay, I mean, the action items are actually just like a little list of notes for reminders. In fact, Kathy doesn't even want me doing them, so.
No, I think that's, I'm not saying you just got a typo.
Include discussion of public toilet in support of TBI planning December. That is on my list for the December agenda. And Wendy's still waiting for some direction about the digital piece of the strategy, which is going to be connected with the work plan. So these are both ongoing.
Well, speaking of which, so we don't have Wendy with us today?
No,
No.
she's done it with Grace.
Okay, all right. Okay, great. Well, then, thank you, Steph, for leading us through that.
Nobody here for.
So, yeah, I'll just make a few remarks about tourism if no one else has anything to say. So, since our last meeting and the World Dividend Exemption notice went out, we were contacted as a committee. You may have seen it because I think I sent it to the committee as the overall address by Tourism Bowen to give them a letter of support for a application for the World Dividend Program, which they were laudably trying to do in the last hour of a week or so and pull it all together. But it immediately drew out some questions from Ed and Helen and myself about what is it that you're actually applying for, and before we even consider a letter of support. And then Maureen weighed in and really basically said that as a volunteer committee, it's really council's position to be supporting an application like that, and Gary Anger had already written a letter of support.
Council passed a resolution.
The council passed a resolution, yeah. So it wasn't, at that point, it wasn't like the CEDC had a role in specifically writing a letter of support. So, but they had approached us, which was great, and I think that is an opening, because Maureen, who's still a member of our committee, but not here today in Swansea, is no longer the chair of Tourism Bowen.
I'm not sure whether she's still on the board or not either.
I don't think she's even on the board at this point, yeah.
We don't have a tourism board person.
Yeah, that's right, so we don't have a Tourism Bowen person on our committee, which is something we need to think about as well.
We're advertising now.
Oh, we are
So
advertising
you
already.
guys can work your Tourism Bowen Island connections and
Right.
get someone to apply.
So are we advertising for how many committee members?
It doesn't matter, I mean, there's only one available, but I don't indicate that.
You can advertise it because Robin resigned, yeah.
Right, okay. Well, that's, okay, so really we should probably add that to our agenda.
Or maybe I can
Just-
even tweak the ad to say, if you're interested in tourism.
Yeah.
Well, I think the idea was that with the two major other business sectors, like we have somebody from the board of the Arts Council and somebody from the board of TBI.
Yeah.
So I'm meeting with Murray on something TBI related out of my history files after this meeting, so I will raise it with him because he's
Yeah.
still on the board.
Okay. Question for you?
Yeah, that would be good. Following that connection, I had some discussions with Ed on our committee, and Ed has expressed, let me see, do we have an update on his area? Do we have updates?
Subcommittee updates, business engagement working group, is that his area?
No. Okay, so we don't have an update scheduled for Ed because he's not here, but I'm going to say something that he shared with me as well, and it relates to tourism. And Ed had the community story working group. He was taking a lead on that, and their first item was going to be a photo contest. And because that conflicted with Tourism Bowen's photo contest that they had planned or did plan subsequent at the same time, they decided to not do that. So that kind of took the wind out of his efforts in the community story working group. Ed has said that going forward, he would really like to put his energy in working with tourism and the tourism working group, and also thinking about some kind of container, whether it's a meeting or a forum or something that can relate to tourism that this committee could potentially sponsor organizing. And that might be separate from our business summit coming up in January, but he is also interested, of course, or we haven't set a date, I guess, but coming up in the new year.
Well, I know they were working on a tourism plan.
Yes.
Update, but I don't know whether it was passed, so.
Well, yeah, and we had heard, that they had a contact for a strategic plan. Maureen had been sort of leading that, and it turned out that contact wasn't able to help them. And
Yeah, I'm not sure at all, so.
Yeah. Paul, yeah. And so anyway, we don't really know the ins and outs of where tourism is at right now, but what we do have is an opening to talk to the current leads of tourism, and I think coordinating that a lot through Helen, because a tourism plan is important to our overall community economic development plan that Helen is working on. And we have a willingness from Ed to help, really dive into that area
I
from
think you're
our
getting into
committee's
number 2
perspective.
of Helen's report.
Yeah.
When you
Um, Well, that's fine. I mean, Helen can
Yeah.
update it. If you stop nodding and start shaking your head, I'll stop. How does that sound? Okay.
Sorry, quick question.
Yeah.
You said that you're looking for new people for the board and you're advertising. How are you getting that out there?
For the committee.
For the committee, yes, yes.
Our usual channels, which is the Bowen Undercurrent, the Island page, and all of our social media, but I've always encouraged committee members to use their networks because people like to join
Yeah.
committees because they like the people on them, so.
I have somebody in mind. She's been to a few meetings. Remember Kylie Redhead? She operates Bowen Tours.
Mhm.
Okay, So whoever,
Yeah.
and so that's great if people can network, and then you
Yeah.
wanna be sending the applications
Yeah, that's what I was
to
asking.
me, and I'll send them to council.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you have something to say, you better say it now.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay, just saying.
That's for a closed meeting.
All right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think on the basis of, we're trying to find somebody for Tourism Bowen Islands Board, so we've got them here at the table when we're
Yeah.
talking about tourism.
What about the new
So-
chair?
Hmm?
Who is-
Well, I don't know, so I'll
Is there a
talk,
new chair?
yeah, there's a new chair, whose name is escaping me.
Joe.
Joe
Joe
Vine.
Vine,
Joe
yeah.
Vine,
Yeah, so I'll talk, I'll just put the seed in Marie.
Again, we just wanna stay away from names with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there.
Can I just say something about the story working group?
Yes, please, yeah.
So my understanding was that that initiative that Ed was working on around the photo
Mm-hmm.
thing was actually part of his work with Bayek.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That wasn't our,
yes.
that wasn't our
Yes, it was.
story working group
Right, okay, good
initiative
point.
at all.
Yeah, yeah.
It was part of his
Yeah.
work with
Part of
Bayek.
his
They
work,
wanted
yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, since then, just recently, he sent an email to our story working group saying he needs to step back
Yes,
and is looking for someone to take the lead.
take the lead on that.
And Chris
yeah.
Corrigan's in that group, and he said he can't, but he sent us a tool that he uses or something, which I
Right,
haven't looked
yeah,
at.
I got copied on that.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure where all that's at now, because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take it on
So
that.
we need to re-look at all of our working groups.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the community story, the point being is that Ed is taking, I think, his energy from there, and he wants to really take it to the tourism side through our committee, which, so, but again, yeah, that would be great to have someone from the tourism board. I don't know if Ed is interested in that respect,
No, he's
whether he would
not on
join
the
tourism.
board.
No, I wonder if he
I
would
don't know if
join
they
or
have a
not,
vacancy
but,
on the board.
yeah, or maybe they don't.
Yeah, like how far he'll go
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah,
getting
well,
involved.
it's stepping back, and it's probably not good to have one person representing both organizations.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But there would be a spot open on the board, wouldn't there, for him to step down?
I don't know, I mean, they may have filled it already. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Wasn't there a point previous to this term that there was just, when Murray was the chair, that he attended our meetings, but
Well,
he
Murray
wasn't actually
was-
on the board?
No, Murray
Sorry, he
was,
wasn't on our.
Murray was on the Community Economic
Oh,
Development
he was,
Committee.
okay.
When,
I thought he was just sort of like the
No.
tourism liaison,
No.
like
He
participated.
was here to update on tourism.
Yeah, he subsequent to him being
After.
Yeah,
on
way
the
back,
committee,
he would
he
come.
still would come,
So
yeah.
he
That's
was
what I'm
there was-
saying,
Yeah,
so-
he was the tourism report every month,
Right.
and then when he left, well, we were actually at a loss for a while. Things went terribly wrong. We also lost our VC rep. And then we got Maureen Swasey here to be our tourism rep. We needed tourism.
But
rep.
was she actually on
yeah,
this
Maureen
committee
was,
too?
She joined the committee after she,
yeah.
But what I'm saying is, do we have to have someone actually join the committee to
think-
have them present here as the tourism rep to
Well,
liaison kind of?
What you, if they're
It's
not
not in
a
our terms of
committee
reference.
member, then they don't have to show up, and they're not part of the minutes and the circulation and engaged,
Okay.
and it should be good, you know, when we start talking about tourism Bowen, I think it's only fair to have somebody from their board at the table who can say, well, no, this is what we're doing.
But they have to apply and become a member.
That's
of the
right.
committee.
Yeah.
council will look favorably upon them.
And, you
Okay.
know, consciously, when we first set up the Economic Development Committee, there was, you know, there were major sectors that we really were trying to get represented on the committee.
Yeah.
So it's not in our terms of reference, but council, I'm sure.
So we should really be trying to get someone from.
Yeah, so.
Really trying, action item, really try.
Exclamation
I'll
mark.
talk to Murray.
I've got you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Allison's gonna really try.
How big is the board?
I set it up, I wrote the terms of the society, that, 7 or 9.
Is that right? Yeah, because I only know the 3 people, but I mean.
Yeah, I think it might be 7.
Is it not listed anywhere on their website?
Anyway, we don't need that information now. I guess there's not really an action other than to amongst ourselves to talk to
To get
tourism,
somebody-
and you're gonna talk to
yeah,
tourism
I'll
about.
talk
So wouldn't it be sensible just to get the list and call them and invite them to be on the committee?
No, all we do is ask them to strong arm somebody to put their nomination in.
Okay.
Because the terms
Volunteer.
of, the terms of reference.
I'm a headhunter, so.
Well, no, but I mean, the other way we could have written the committee terms of reference is that BIAC appoints a member and Tourism Bowen Island appoints a
Yeah.
member, and then everybody else is,
Yeah.
you know, but council has to appoint or they have to recommend, so anyhow.
Allison, would it be helpful, sorry, Steph, would it be helpful for Helen to send a short follow-up? Because we've had that connection with Joan
Yeah.
via email around the world.
Yeah.
And when we, in our email chain, we talked about needing to be following up with each other.
Yeah, no,
so-
Helen can follow up too.
Yeah, let's do both, so we two can
Yeah,
coordinate.
I'll put the bug in
Yeah.
Mary's ear that we need somebody, and you can put the bug in Helen,
And
in Joan's ear.
Yeah, okay, great, super,
So
thanks.
I have to contact her anyway about the forum, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Helen and Allison have an action. Okay. So, anything else that we want to add about our tourism right now?
So after, I just question, so after this connection happens, which would probably be November, when we get somebody on, so then that's looking like we've got a real connection.
Fine, you have to wait till November if you're advertising now, we've got a council meeting at the end of September.
Okay, October meeting,
Yeah.
get started, and then,
Well, okay, so
when is
schedule
the show
was.
gonna get on the road here?
Yeah,
That's
okay, so
what
there's
I'm
two things that are gonna jump, go ahead, Helen. Yeah.
Don't think we're into 5.2 now.
Okay,
Probably we are, and so do you want to call it 5.2, but let's,
Well, you've got a collaboration with Tourism Bowen Island item on
Yeah.
5.2, so.
yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say that it's not, there's two things that will happen ahead of even someone being appointed. And one is, as Helen has alluded to, with the Rural Islands Economic Forum happening in Pender Harbor, we have on our list to invite
I'm sure they have.
people from Tourism Bowen to attend, because it's an obvious part of that forum environment as well. And so, so there's that connection.
Yeah.
And then there's the connection that we were talking about here with Helen as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's on my part of the economic development plan. Obviously tourism is a huge driver for us on Bowen, as much as we kind of, have a love-hate relationship with it. It is one of our huge drivers of income. And so we have to get better at it, basically, in terms of it being more strategic. And so that means we have to work with them, and that means we've got to build a better relationship with them, basically, is what it boils down to. And so that means we've got to work on it. So obviously we had those discussions after they'd talked to us about supporting their application. So I think it probably is worth us probably trying to set up a subgroup of the committee that's a tourism subgroup, so that we can work with them on a regular basis and just have that ongoing regular connection with them, so that we can support them, so that we know what kind of initiatives they're looking at doing, and so that we've got that ongoing thread as I'm developing the plan, so that when that comes to implementation, we've already got that with them, because there's going to be a lot of tourism stuff that we will need to do and that they are wanting to do, and we need all of that to work together in the same way that we need lots of things to work together. But tourism is such a key part of Bowen that we need it to work strategically, and right now it isn't. And so I think we need to get them on board now, so that we can get that relationship working better. And the way that we're going to do that is we get them on board, we start to build a better relationship with them, and we start to have these conversations. Because I think the approach that we've got right now is a bit of a splattergun approach with tourism, and it's like, and let's see what kind of sticks, and that's just not.
Yeah, what you're suggesting is really a step more engaged than just having a representative
I
from the board.
think so. I think
Yeah.
we have to have an engaged group, so that we can show them that we will support them, but also so that they feel able to actually come to us and talk to us. And I think part of the problem that we've got, which is why we ended up with that email at the last minute going, oh, can you just send us a letter? It's because they perhaps don't feel that they can come to us and talk to us about the things that they're doing.
Mhm.
So, because we don't have that good relationship with them right now, and so we need
So
to,
it starts with getting somebody on the board to
I
start
think so,
working.
and
Yeah.
start to build that working relationship with them, because we just don't have it right now.
And I don't
and we
know how it
need
fell
it.
apart.
No, but it doesn't really matter how. We just need to build a better relationship, because it's integral to how Bowen works, and it's going to become more and more important. We can see that. We can see that tourism is a huge thing for us, and it's not working properly, and we need to get it, working for everyone, right, in Bowen. So it means we've got to all work together so that it's not, this thing that everybody's like, oh man.
Mhm. Yeah, there's
So
some
I think
important structural issues to consider there
I think so,
with
because it
how
impacts
tourism
everything.
revenue impacts
Yeah,
our.
impacts everything, so it's a huge thing. And because there is a need for a strategic tourism plan, which as far as I'm aware isn't being done right now, and could be a sub-project of the economic development plan. It's on my list, because obviously I have to come up with sub-projects that will either be run in conjunction with the development of the plan or subsequent to.
Mhm.
Then we absolutely have to.
So are you reaching out to the tourism?
Well, this is me starting to reach out to them now, because obviously if I identify the need, I'm like, okay, we got to start working
Well, you
with
probably
these
could
guys.
just reach out to them direct, like the chair, and have a meeting and
Well,
start a relationship
I
too.
think that's what we've got to do, but it's not just going to be me and them, right? It's
Yeah,
it's
no,
gonna
I
be
think
a
we
bit
need-
more
No,
than
I'm
that.
just saying in addition though.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. But when they sent us the email to ask for the support, and I had to kind of politely go, yeah, this could have been done a bit more strategically, I've now got to sort of begin to build that relationship to say why it could have been done a bit more strategically, and this is my.
Well, I think you should have a meeting with the
So-
chair and just invite
Yeah.
her to talk about what their
I think so, and just
what their visions and goals
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
aspirations are, and what they would like
That'd be
to.
the
And
fastest
obviously-
direct route.
Yeah.
And obviously where I'm thinking of going with the plan and all that kind of stuff. So that's my sort of overarching thought with tourism. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Well, I think that for sure, take Ed,
Yes.
include Ed in your
Yeah.
connection, and
Well,
if there's anyone else
I
who
guess
wants
this
to
is what
do
I
it,
think,
yeah.
there's a process. I mean, they have a board,
Yes.
and we are a committee of council.
Mhm.
We're the Economic Development Committee. Do we want to ask to have a joint meeting with their board?
I think,
Or is Helen working, Helen is, and then they have a staff person.
mhm.
So I think Helen needs to set up a good working relationship
Yeah.
with their
Mhm.
staff
Yeah.
person as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's,
I think you should have a
Yeah.
meeting with them, Helen.
and I'm wondering if
And
Helen
then-
should get invited to, I would suggest that Joan invite you to one of their board meetings. So you can fill them in on the plans
Yeah, on
and
the
process.
plan, as soon as Kathy gives you a next level
That's it.
of
I mean,
authorization,
you know,
then,
just putting yourself in their hats. They're an independent society. They have an agreement with council to run the visitor center and that sort of thing and get funding. And if all of a sudden we're developing a plan, but,
well, we're asking
Then
for a
have-
plan to be in place,
well, I don't know
not
what
for
the
us to
work
develop
plan
it.
is, but if
Yeah.
the I haven't seen the work plan, but if the work plan is created, that Helen's going to create a tourism plan
No.
as
no,
part of the
no.
economic development plan. So I think you need to at least share with them
Yeah.
what you're gonna be putting in the work plan related to tourism.
Yeah.
No, that's a very
So
good
that they're
point,
on
it's a very
board
good
with
point,
it
we're
and
not,
feel involved
yeah, we're not doing it in
rather than-
silos, we're trying to
Yeah.
break down
Yeah.
silos.
No.
Well, I don't
so
see how
I
you
don't
can
think-
actually decide
Yeah.
what should be
No.
done around
Until you
tourism
talk
unless
to
you
them.
actually
Yeah.
engage
Yeah.
the
So-
tourism
So,
people.
so just to be clear, I'm not writing a tourism plan, because I couldn't possibly write an economic development plan and a tourism plan at the same
Yeah,
time.
okay,
So all I'm doing is I have to identify sub-projects, and so one of the sub-projects would be that we need to write a
okay,
strategic
but when you
tourism
say
plan,
we,
as in we would do that with them.
okay,
We
but
would hire
but
them.
maybe they can do it and you
Yes,
can help
and we
them.
would support
I mean, I
them.
think
Yeah,
doing an updated, and they already have a tourism plan.
they do, but it's from like 2013. So it's quite old. Yeah, So they
yeah.
need to
But,
update it.
You know, so,
Yeah.
but I think you need to work with them as
Yes,
to who's
that's
gonna take
my
the lead
goal.
on that.
Oh, they
project.
would, but we would support
Okay,
them. It's
but
my
everything
goal.
I'm hearing isn't telling me
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
the way I'm hearing this.
So,
So that's just, yeah.
but I think we need to work with them. And we need a better relationship with them.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I'm not
I think
disagreeing on
that's,
any of that.
I'm enthusiastically thinking that, there'll be more than just a line in the community economic development plan that says we need to develop a tourism strategy. Right?
Yes.
So,
It will.
yeah. Okay. Okay, so shall we, I mean, this is good because tourism is a major item that we need to address and it's coming up in a few different points in our agenda here.
Rather than saying need to address, can we say needs to be included in the
Needs to be included in the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a committee, we need to address this disconnect that we have with tourism. That's what I'm talking about.
What's number 3?
So I do have here that you're
What's
writing
number
that
one?
plan on table, Helen, I guess we changed that then.
Well, you said it wasn't provided.
I know.
I mean, I guess
that's
I'm
what we're
just
just talking
pointing to the
about now.
conversation. We obviously
Yeah,
have
so-
to-
so we are going
Talking about
to privately review the work plan after the meeting. Because it's not an official
Yeah, I've already got
document.
it approved.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is
Yeah.
one of these chicken and egg things.
I know it's weird.
I mean, when we developed plans before, like we do have an economic development sort of plan that was developed. And we did have it as a draft, open in a committee meeting and looked at it and commented on it before it got presented to council. So,
I'm confused, what is a draft work plan? I mean, it's
Mine.
your
What-
work plan.
what she's
you're
gonna
going
do,
to be
yeah.
doing to
Yeah.
get this final result of having a plan made, okay?
So is your concern that Kathy hasn't signed off on it yet? That's why you don't want to share? Is that-
Yeah, so I'm supposed to get Kathy to sign off on it, and then you guys, and then it goes to council.
Mm.
but is there any, does it say in that order, or just these are the following people that we?
That's the following people.
Yeah, so I
But
don't.
it's really long, I mean, it's.
I
less
know,
than
but
pages
if
long.
it's gonna go to council, I guess somebody's gonna say, has the economic development committee looked at this?
Yeah,
And we need to have that in our minutes, that we looked at it and made comments or suggestions, or that we're happy with it going forward.
Right, so what I'm gonna ask you to do, and the people that aren't here today, is when Helen sends the draft email, to read it through and then respond to Helen so she can collect our collective comments.
And if we've got comments that are opposing comments, then.
Well, Helen
well,
can
that's okay.
then
We
Yeah.
can-
look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's just like we would do anything, right, when we send it.
Yeah, but if there's a
out for
major
comment
disagreement,
information.
you know.
Well, okay, so if there are major disagreements, Helen, then you need to bring that to our attention
And we
in
might have
our,
a special meeting.
and we could have a special meeting, or, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Is this going on the September 29th or 30th?
The 30th,
whatever?
yeah.
So you've got to have it ready 10 days before that.
Well, it's already ready, it's with
Oh.
Kathy, I'm just waiting for it to come back to me. She's had it for a while, but obviously she's,
Otherwise.
Okay, well, if you push send for us this afternoon sometime, and then we can,
Well, I'm going to a funeral, so
Oh, you're- okay.
I'm leaving at
maybe
11.
on the weekend,
So,
or on Monday, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the draft plan.
Yeah. So,
Tell us what you're thinking about community futures or chamber
I don't,
commerce.
sorry, Allison, so what are we doing then? We're gonna get an email resolution for council? Like, don't these
Well,
things normally go to council
No,
with a
I
recommendation?
guess
We're just
at
providing
this
input.
point,
Yeah.
Helen is just going to send the draft to the committee and ask for their comments. We haven't done a formal thing.
Doesn't council want something?
I
from-
don't know, let me work on that one.
When would it be going to council?
It's
Thirtieth.
going on
The 30th of September.
I mean, what I have done, which it's uncomfortable, but it can be done as an email vote that's ratified. The next-
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very messy
Let me
process, but.
Figure out what the process is in this thing.
Okay.
Community futures and our chamber of commerce, what's that?
So, I was approached by a chap, John Barr. He used to work for Community Futures for the, oh gosh, what's the branch?
Subaru
The-
husband?
I don't know what you
So
said.
that's over.
Anyway, I couldn't tell you, I don't know what you said. Anyway, he used to work for Community Futures, and he's retired now, but he still has good connections with them. And he was pretty excited about the possibility of us being able to get in there, you know, sort of remit now that I exist, apparently. So anyway, he sent me quite a long email, which I will forward on once I've turned it into bullet points, because it's
Thank
like
you.
reading War and Peace. So I thought, I'll forward that on, not like this. So it was really great. It sort of explains, you know, why he thought that it would be useful, and why he thought that they might actually consider sort of including us now in their catchment zone. Would we be interested? Because he thought if we would be interested, then he would be happy to liaise with them.
Is that a provincial Community Futures, or is that Western Economic
I
Development?
think it's federal.
It's federal.
Is it under Western Economic Development,
I don't
or
think
is it a national thing?
No, it's not under Western Economic Development.
I just, something's niggling in the back of my mind that we're not eligible because.
We are not,
We're not
in the cap.
No, we're not in the catchment zone. So they've got the different catchment zones as they're set up. We are close to 2 catchment zones. So we're close to the one, the closest one that we're sort of also have most in common with is the Sunshine Coast one.
So we have to do like we did with the rural dividend.
Well, yes.
And
yes,
get
basically.
ourselves.
But he is
Yeah.
willing to do that on our behalf, because he used to work for them, and he feels that one of the reasons that, now Steph and I have had a discussion about this, he feels that one of the reasons that they weren't interested in sort of expanding the catchment zone to let us in is because it would be so resource heavy to let us in, because obviously we'd have to come backwards and forwards to Bowen to do the various meetings and things like that for people, and to provide information, and it would cost them a lot of money, basically, to decide
Can
if
you
we were going to
remind
give people
Everybody
loans.
what Community Futures does,
Mm-hmm.
because
They provide small business loans to people who otherwise would find it difficult to get funding through traditional means.
that's
So
one
that's
of the
what
things.
Community
And
Futures
business
do.
counseling and specialized programs.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do a number of, yes, they do all of those
They used to
things,
have
but
an
they-
office in the
they-
train station, in the,
Yeah, so they
on the
mostly,
landing
they mostly
building.
do the money
Yeah.
lending.
So it is Western Economic Diversification.
Oh,
it is part of Western
So,
Economic Development.
but we don't fall under their catchment zones. And
That
they-
sounds really cool though, because this could actually
Would be
tie
great.
into our whole idea of a co-working space too, and that kind of thing where,
Yeah,
who knows, we just
Mhm.
kind of, this is kind of
Yes.
related, maybe we could get some support through here to start
Yes.
something, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and because
Yeah.
they do support different programs.
That's what it is, it's helping
to-
entrepreneurs, so
Yeah.
my idea for that co-working was any kind of, tech, any kind of entrepreneur,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm not sure that they provide space, but
no, they don't, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, it's a nice tie-in.
Get some momentum going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think
they,
it'd be
they
great to
provide lots of
actually.
information and all that kind of stuff. They help sponsor different programs, all those different things.
well, somebody from there did come.
Yeah, so can I
Yes.
just open, in 2018, we had Zara Gale, this is her excellent presentation that
And
she
she was
provided.
Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Sunshine Coast.
So there was a lot of follow-up, there's a lot of energy around community futures during this period, in which it was decided that we're not in the catchment zone, but that we would have full access to them, and we have a couple of people from Bowen Island who are with them,
Yeah.
and we have full access, and not a lot of people use it. So the conversation Helen and I were having was, I was sort of like, why are we keeping this horse again? Actually, Chris Corrigan did it a few years ago as well. I put a lot of energy into it last year. Why are we back here again? And she said, because this gentleman had decided he could get us in the catchment.
Okay, but if we're getting some of the counseling, but not access to the borrowing, is that?
no, I
We
think,
have
I
access to
think,
the
I think
borrowing,
there's
it's up
access
under
to
the
everything.
radar.
Yeah, they kind of
Yeah.
slide us in the back door.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
how they do it
so-
right now.
Do we really need to, at this point?
Well, that's my question to you
Spend
guys, so
time.
that's why I'm raising it. This chap has come forward and said he thinks he could persuade them to officially put us in the catchment zone. Whether he could or not, who knows? But it's whether you guys have got any interest in him trying to do it so that we are officially in the catchment zone.
Okay.
He said he will take it on. It's just whether
So,
you have an interest.
If we were officially in the catchment zone,
It just means people could officially apply for these loans rather than being slipped in through
so
the-
we would then be able to put something on our community section of the website that if you're interested in counseling or loans, do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would just
and
be a
so
little easier, I guess.
Is there any downside to being included in that catchment zone?
I don't think there's a
think so.
downside to being included in the catchment zone. I only just think there might be a downside in the amount of resources to make this happen.
No, what I'm saying
Yeah.
is, if John's willing to volunteer his time and do it, say, okay, John, you go ahead and explore the idea and see, and council
And come
has
back
no
to us.
time or
Yeah.
staff capacity to contribute to this, other than a letter.
Okay.
Okay.
So the people that are the liaison now, that have been working with them, you said there are a couple of Bowen people on this,
They're not liaisons, they're clients.
they're clients,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I think it would just be really important that he talks to
You
them
can't tell them.
and gets up to
That's
speed.
confidential
Oh,
information.
really? Okay. Because we just don't want to alienate anyone who has
No.
been working to.
No,
in our
that's
interests,
true.
right?
No, they're not working in our interest, they're in their own interest.
Okay.
They've
Yeah,
got
they've
the
got their
loans
own
and they've
small
got the council.
Oh, is that all you
They've
did?
been-
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so they just
Yeah.
got the
I'm just saying
loans.
that this resource, as it exists, is available to people on
Oh,
Bowen
right.
Island.
I thought you meant
But
there was
it's-
people working on their committee through the
No.
Sunshine Coast.
So you're thinking if we make it more official, it might be easier to get the word out to people on Bowen that this is available, and we
Yeah.
have somebody who's ready to
We
champion it.
can't put anything on our webpage right now that says, if
No.
you need this, go, because
Well, why don't we
we're not.
Unless
Are we
we're
gonna talk to
actually
them and
part of
see
it?
if-
That's
Yeah.
what we were
Okay.
just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
That'd be great.
he's basically saying that he would be happy to go and speak to them and see if it's something that they'd be willing to do.
Well, why-
If it's something
There's
we're
no
interested
downside.
in.
Well, there's no downside to being part of it.
No.
So if John wants to make some inquiries as a former employee, let's just tell him.
You know, Helen, would you either include me in that loop, or if we want to, I think what we're talking about falls under mobilizing local capital.
Yeah.
And because like organizations like Community Futures are also at the same time supporting local investment vehicles and that sort of thing. And this is an area that we don't have a subcommittee on. We're not really addressing specifically.
Yeah.
But if this John Fellow is a resource in that area, then number one, we might want to invite him to apply for our opening on our here on our committee. But number two, we might want to just have him talk to us more about it.
We did say that he'd be willing to come and
It would
talk
be
to us.
maybe more of an educational thing
Yes.
for us if he
Yeah.
came and told us
Yes.
what
I think
Community
so.
Futures
Well,
does.
that's it.
Yeah.
But what I'm
thought
saying is
that
I can see no downside to us being included in the area. It's not
Yeah.
going to preclude us from other sources of
No.
funding
No.
Yeah.
or other sources of support.
Yeah.
Can
I-
you
I-
include me too? I've gotten one of these
Oh, yeah.
grants from a similar organization, and it made a huge difference to me 7 years ago. So I would love to do it through the YMCA. It was really good, and they were teaching us how to write a business plan, and we'd go there twice a week,
Yeah.
and they would teach us every section from like market analysis.
Oh, that's
And then on the other day of the week, we went there twice a week, they would have an industry expert come in. So we got to talk to lawyers, bookkeepers, the man who owns Hootsuite, Van City Community Branch. So it was really good.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, so this is a whole area, fostering local entrepreneurism, right? There's mobilizing local capital in those vehicles and structures, and then there's the local entrepreneurism
So
foster.
maybe at this point Helen says, well, John, we'd like to have, invite him to a meeting to educate us about,
Sure.
but also say, make some inquiries as to
Yeah.
what would be involved.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I want a resolution on this, please. Is that okay with you guys? I'm gonna use whereas the Community Futures chapter does not include Bowen Island in its catchment,
Is catchment the right word?
Yes, that's what we call it.
and whereas a
That's what it says.
representative of Community Futures has approached staff.
No, a former employee of Community Futures.
I don't want to get in the way of your crafting, but I'm not sure we need a resolution right now, do we?
Can we just not ask Helen to ask him to
We
find
can,
out a
I
little
just,
bit more?
because of this has come up so many times in something things on committee with changing membership come up many times. It's nice to have a formal record. We're all like, oh, whatever happened with that? Because I feel go, oh,
Well,
on
let's-
September 11th.
So can't we just say that, you know, the committee discussed community futures because a member of the community had expressed interest in us being involved?
Yeah, I think what we need is an action item for Helen, and I would, you know, to respond to John and to copy me on it as well, or we can copy all of us if you want. Do you want to copy all of us? Okay, so copy me on it for now.
Definitely
And-
me.
And Natasha, okay, and Natasha. And so we'll have a little, this isn't a subcommittee, it's not a working group, it's just, we're just getting together just to talk, follow up with this guy.
We're observing the process.
We're observing the
Well, it
process.
seems to me all we're wanting Helen to do is say to John, committee was interested
Mhm.
in finding out what would be involved in
See
getting
how far
into
you can get
community
with this.
futures catchment
Yeah.
area.
And in addition, I think, just let him know that we're interested in, you know, if these are areas that he's knowledgeable in, mobilizing local capital and fostering entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't necessarily have to be community futures, there might be
No,
other
but he's
ways.
specifically talking about.
That's right, but
community futures, yeah.
let's have
Sounds
that
good to me.
conversation. Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Is that okay, Steph?
It's fine, I just, we agreed last year we were gonna be using more resolutions
Okay.
based on Kathy.
I just not
Having a
sure.
resolution that says,
Okay.
forget the whereas, it's just saying,
Yeah.
we support staff contacting community futures.
Okay.
No,
That's what Kathy asked for,
well, we're not supporting staff
contacting.
tracking community futures, we're supporting our committee, member of the community who has expressed an interest in getting us involved as asking community futures what would be involved. We're not, Helen's not gonna spend any time, she's just gonna tell them to go for it.
Okay, I'll just do it as an action.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure if I'm clear about that, Allison, because,
John said he used to work for,
Yeah,
and
that's
that
right.
he could find out or get
Right.
us involved in the catchment area.
Right.
Community futures changed to include us.
right,
So he's gotta make, we're gonna say we'd be happy to be part of community futures. You find out what would have to happen in order for that to happen. I mean, he's
I
gonna
wonder
make,
if we want to go to that step of, because then we're making a resolution authorizing him
well, no,
to
we're
take that
asking him to
action.
find out, because he said apparently
Yeah.
knows the people,
Right.
what would be involved.
Okay,
Or how we would
Yeah.
have to get, what we would have to do
what would
to
be
get
involved, yeah, that's what we want to do, we want to learn what.
It's just a fact-finding mission. It's not
Fact-finding
an
mission.
initiative.
Yeah, and then you come back to us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can't see the downside.
No.
Yeah, I would
Great.
think so, but I don't know.
Here
I
today.
mean, there is a relationship already through the Sunshine Coast area, so,
Yeah,
Maybe
but that's
there's a
because I
downside
think
there.
maybe there are people who recognize
Yeah.
that they should be trying to help us.
I think, I'm fairly sure he said it was a Sunshine Coast branch
Yeah,
that he
no, it
used to
has
work
been.
for.
yeah,
So-
okay, great.
Unless they fired him and he alienated.
No, he
Yeah.
he retired. He retired. He
Just-
was quite clear about that, so I don't think there's any bad blood or anything. I think we're good. I don't think there'll be any, pistols at dawn or anything.
Okay, so we actually are in danger of going on long here at this point.
Oh, yeah. so-
Let's get going.
Okay, so quickly then, I'll talk about the other two things, because obviously I can't stay that. So the other thing was, it was the same thing, is that if we've got any interest in this. We used to have a Chamber of Commerce. I know it kind of fell a little bit flat on its face. This is more for the economic development plan, if it's something that I should be included or not. I just want to know if we've got any interest in revamping the Chamber of Commerce for Bowen Island. I know we're now part of West Vancouver's. Do we have any interest in it? Is it something I should be looking at including in the economic development plan? Do we think it's something that would be beneficial for Bowen or not, basically? Do we
You
think
know what
it
I would
serves a
suggest?
purpose?
I would suggest you wait until after the Rural Island Economic Forum in November, because I would be very interested to know what other islands, communities have
I see
had
them
a
all
relationship. What's that?
Put it that way.
Gabriel
kind of
has a very
research.
active Chamber of Commerce, and so does
Yeah.
I
Salisbury.
didn't hear what you said.
Yeah.
I know, I see a lot of Chamber of Commerces in
Mhm.
small
Islands?
But I wonder how
communities.
active and
Yeah.
healthy they are.
I
And-
don't know, but they seem to be the ones that are
Yeah.
doing the economic development initiatives.
Yeah, and a lot of them do the tourism too.
Yeah.
Now, again, this isn't something I'll say that I know a ton about, but I feel like with the business licenses, you know, for me, I would think of going to a Chambers of Commerce to get a business license. And I know that's done a little bit separate, but I'm thinking now that that's something that we are actually doing on Bowen, would a Chamber of Commerce act a little bit differently now?
No.
No.
So
Okay.
the feedback I've had from business license staff is that I'm not a Chamber of Commerce, staff should really like one.
Okay.
And then feedback I've provided is, well, we don't have one, we have an economic development committee, so let's all work together. I've also
I
had
don't,
feedback
you
that,
don't usually get your business license from a Chamber of Commerce.
No.
No, there's a process where the business license is issued by the municipality, but I remember a number of years ago, because I used to be the manager of the Chamber of Commerce, and Rod used to be the president before the class, as I recall,
Yeah.
after I left, that they province, they were pushing a BizPal thing, which was operated by the chambers. But I don't know that that happens anymore, because everybody's gone online and applications, and this was to make it easier for people to get their business licenses, so. They were just a sales agent, like ICDC is,
Mhm.
insurance agency, the sales agent for ICDC.
Well, we keep talking about trying to encourage the local businesses to create some kind of organization, but that's, you know, that's volunteer and nobody, you know, wants to
Yeah.
take it on, or every time I've seen that in the past, it's
I
not
think it was-
sustainable, right? Because people get busy and they don't want to do it in.
Well, they can't even get the merchants down in the cove to get together,
I don't know.
and they've got,
So ideally, we should have
All the
some,
arguments
it'd be
for it.
great to have some kind of, because every time we looked at all these issues that have come up through our engagement meetings, it's like, boy, if the
Yeah.
businesses could just get together in an organization,
but that's the problem, I mean, you know, we're
they
doing
could
this
solve some
short-term
things, you
rental
know?
thing, and we can't even get all the people that are applying, you know, that provide accommodation to get together and talk, or, you know, we have a subcommittee.
Well, I think in general, Helen, any structure that businesses want to engage in to organize themselves, we would support.
Yeah.
But it, you know,
Trying to create one is a
Yeah.
big
I
difference.
think that's what
and I
I'm
think
trying
specifically
to
to the
get
Chamber
at.
of Commerce, my question is, what's the,
How are those funded normally?
well, membership.
Membership, I guess, right,
Yeah.
right.
And sometimes they have service agreements, but that doesn't fund the organization, that just
Plus
employs.
the delivery of the service.
Yeah.
Um,
So anyway, let's leave Chamber of Commerce as, I think you should broaden that and just say local business organizations or
Yeah, that we would be supportive of local business organizations, if the contractors wanted to create a contractors association or a group, and
so there were concrete next steps on the Contractors Business Association that came from that engagement meeting. And it went over to Anna Donnelly, who was going to be doing some
at the building center.
at the building center. She was gonna do some poking around, and was it John, who was from our team, was gonna be liaising with her, maybe it was me. I don't know, but we were, again, similar to this co-working space, it was one of those, this is amazing, we've all got in the room together, you guys all seem to appreciate this. You're gonna have to take it from here. That was like, find a spearhead over the co-working telecommuter space. We'll know where the contractors, it was gonna
was
be
that a
the,
business engagement breakfast that came out of, or
Yeah.
not the summit?
no, the breakfast. And that was, Anna, not that she was gonna take on the whole thing, but she was gonna be
Yeah.
sniffing around with that,
Yeah.
and I haven't heard anything.
Well, just as an example, so our committee can be engaged with anything that, in any gatherings, like, for instance, this step code gathering that's gonna happen, or information meeting that's gonna happen. You know, I think it's important that, you know, for instance, I will go there because I'm interested in it, but I also will keep my CEDC hat on there and listen to
Yeah.
what people are saying while they're there. And any kind of business gatherings like that, you know, I think we should make an effort to be in attendance there, so we can understand what's going on.
I was gonna go.
I put it in my calendar, I'm not sure.
It's in this room, I can find it.
Yeah, it is in this room.
The 16th is sticking in my mind.
But, you know, it's interesting because if Chamber of Commerce, you know, for instance, Gabriel is quite strong, but they have,
17.
you know, service agreements and, you know, and they got a substantial service agreement, I think, in Gabriel, that, like, to the tune of having the full-time, her name is Julie, hired full-time,
Yeah.
you know, there. And that was through a grant from the district of Nanaimo that had through regional district, yeah. In a way, our tourism Boeing having a service agreement for tourism and, you know, and all these things parceled out to these different organizations takes away from the reason or the core of why you might have a Chamber of Commerce, for instance, I think. But-
Well, it's interesting, I mean, all the communities are different, but I know, like, a lot of the chambers run the tourism stuff. But there's also separate, like in Gibson's, they have a separate society,
Yeah.
the Sunshine Coast,
Yeah.
that runs the tourism stuff. But, yeah, it's different in all the communities, because we would go to different meetings, and sometimes you'd have a whole bunch of the chamber people there. Like the North Shore, originally, they were doing, the North Van Chamber was doing, but now they've got a North Shore Tourism Association. So, you know, things get to a certain size and they evolve out to another group, you know, so. Yeah, I wouldn't do specifically chamber, I'd do as Rod said, and, you know,
Business organization.
if the businesses wish to create organizations or whatever, they've got all the benefits right now, because they can join the West Van Chamber, and that gets them in the insurance stuff and the low rates from the parents and all that other stuff, so,
Okay.
you know.
Okay, so let's leave that. Do you want to comment something on a Facebook page? Is that
Oh, yeah, so
relevant?
this, sorry.
I'm typing as well.
Yeah, so the Facebook page is, I'm thinking as part of the economic development plan, when I start to communicate out to the public, which I haven't done yet, because I'm not quite at that stage, but when I start to communicate out, I'm thinking that possibly an economic development Facebook page would be good, because I'm going to need to do, actually I say we are going to need to do community engagement. Obviously we know that our community is quite engaged on Facebook, because we know through the Bowen Island and everything else page.
No.
But we're going to be doing obviously a number of different types of engagement.
You need to talk to Sophie.
Before I talk to Sophie, I'm just seeing again, this is about appetite, whether we think it's a good idea or not, because I think social media is huge. So I think if we use the fact that we are quite active on social media as one of our mediums of communicating what we're doing, of maybe some of the surveys, things like that, and also, you know, we could use it as a committee for some of the things that we're doing through the committee. It means that we can maybe get the word out a bit more about economic development.
I don't know that we need a separate. What did we do for the community center stuff? Did we set up a separate?
We have a
Yes.
separate page. We have a
Yeah.
separate page.
But
there's I use it, I run it, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Did you get much uptake on that?
But
Are there many people joining?
Yeah, we have quite a lot of followers, and then obviously what we do is we put stuff on that page and then we share it to the BIM page.
Yeah,
And it's the same
so
with
that's-
the website. I mean, I'm not suggesting we have an economic development website, but for the community centre, we have their own website, and then it gets shared to the
It just links out.
And it's just so that, because it's such a big thing and it will become bigger over time, I think it's quite important that we do have our,
I think you can have a Facebook page. I'm not sure how much
I don't think we should have a website.
uptake you would get on that, but you can certainly post on other pages that exist, like the
That's what I like.
The Bowen Businesses
for.
is actually pretty well subscribed to the
Yes.
Bowen Business page,
Yeah.
and anytime you really need to reach people, put it on everything else,
Yes.
right?
Well, we've got to, well, as a municipal, we've got to be a bit careful about putting municipal things on everything else.
No, you post notices of
Yes.
meetings, yeah,
Yeah.
but you don't
But
post
in
anything
terms
else.
of surveys
No,
and
no.
stuff, you don't. But I think it'd be good to have a base that we can then share from, is my point. So
Yeah.
you'll always have that base to go back to, they know where it's
Well, that's what you're
from.
saying, make a page,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah, and then you share it
outreach,
out.
right?
Yeah,
Like
like for
the
example,
community
like if we
No one's
wanted to
gonna sign
have
up
one
for
of
that.
these luncheons, we could post it on that page and then
Yes.
all of us can
Yes.
share through
Yeah.
Facebook in our community on
Yeah,
all the other
that's
pages.
kind of what I'm thinking. And when we
It's a pivot point really, rather than a go-to location.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not-
Okay,
Way of
well-
getting the
well,
word
it
out.
seems to me that, like, my main concern is, you know, the structural part of it, are we, you know, are we allowed to put stuff out, and how does that all work?
Well,
But if you're already doing it,
Yeah, we
then.
do.
Well,
That
we've got a
seems
whole
fine.
communications policy.
Yeah.
We do, so I can talk to
And-
Sophie about that.
And so the community center one was, I couldn't, was done to get information out.
Yeah.
Not as a chat group.
Mhm.
Yeah.
More of a,
Yeah.
it's an information dissemination.
I think that's a very important distinction to
Yeah.
make. It's like, you know, this is for spreading information, you know, not to like create the new
Yes.
Bowen Island forum, you know, like.
Or like a bulletin
Yeah,
and
so it's
actually
the same.
membership.
But how do we make sure that people who aren't on Facebook get included? That's the only-
Well, so we have to make sure that anything, so it's the same as we do with the community centre, you have to just do it in different ways, right, so that you make sure people are included. So we obviously have the island page, so we share things
And we've
to
got
the
a mailing
island
list
page
for
as
the
well.
community
We have a
centre.
mailing list. We'd have to make sure that we get a mailing list so that we can email people.
Mhm.
So we just use all the
Yeah.
different types of formats that we
Right.
do now for share. Because I run the community centre
Right,
thing, I'm
yeah,
like, okay, this is how we do it for
Just do it the
the
same.
same
yeah.
kind of, the
Yeah.
same kind of thing. Just to make sure, and obviously we've got the website page, the economic development one. So we make sure that that's clear, so that people know where to go when we're sending out things for community engagement, offer information or whatever. So we'll just make sure that that's all clear and people can find it, you know, people friendly. So I think through all the different methods, we
Mhm.
should be able to catch people.
Good. Okay, well, that's great to have that structure already in
Yeah,
place.
I think so.
So do we need a resolution then?
You're putting this in the work plan, so.
That we put it in the work
Yes.
plan? Okay, all right, so the
Yeah,
work
same.
plan, okay,
Yeah.
resolution, yeah, that's right, fair enough.
Sorry, what did we decide?
Well, I guess we could say that the committee supported, including on Facebook.
I've got a few things,
Yeah.
so including Facebook in your engagement strategy?
Yes,
Okay.
thanks.
Well, we're gonna be able to fly through the rest of this.
Okay, we better.
We killed the business engagement
So
working group
including-
already, haven't we?
No, we've not.
No.
Natasha and I need to talk about that. Including Facebook and communication strategy. Okay, can I read you guys something?
Yes?
So I'm going to say, and there is a history to this, so
Thank you.
thank you, Helen. And tell me if I'm right. That the Community Economic Development Committee resolved to set up a tourism working group, review the draft Community Economic Development Work Plan by email, engage with Community Futures former employee regarding catchment expansion, and include Facebook in its engagement strategy.
Change resolve to agreed, because resolve means we have a formal resolution.
I'm asking for a formal resolution. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I'm not sure that we agreed to set up a tourism working group.
Yeah, did we
Yeah.
decide that?
No.
Did
That's
you
why I'm
say
asking.
working group?
Yeah.
No,
No?
no. We agreed that Helen would outreach to,
Helen and Allison would outreach to the
Yeah,
Okay, so
board.
those are action items, fine, I'll take up the working group then.
yeah.
Okay. We're okay on the other ones?
Okay, you better read it one more time.
Review the draft Community Economic Development Work Plan by email.
Yeah.
Engage with Community Futures former employee regarding catchment expansion to include Bowen Island. And include Facebook in the engagement strategy of the
Yeah.
development. of the economic
Facebook,
I think
development.
that works.
Yeah?
Facebook
Page.
page.
Okay, mover.
Okay, I'll move. Seconder? Fine? Okay, all in favor? There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks Helen, that's a lot to look forward to too in the draft work plan. So the business engagement working group,
Hasn't met, so I'm offering to set up the next meeting,
okay.
make it an action item.
And
Bond will
Natasha, are you
contact-
part of the business engagement working
I'll
group?
invite you to that one because it's gonna be about health and wellness.
Right.
The next meeting, so, yeah.
Okay, good.
So I think what happened last meeting was Natasha was keen to get going on a health and wellness session. I was keen to support her in that. And we were asked to pause so that you guys could review your calendar. And-
So we'll do that.
Yeah.
We can all meet again since Robin's not part of it now.
Okay.
We'll
Yeah.
talk about upcoming ones, including that one.
Okay.
So did you say you're gonna go to that?
Can I come?
Volunteer
Yeah,
with,
sure.
set up the next meeting and invite Natasha.
Because it's part of the engagement.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Thanks.
What days do you work?
Do we come at the moment? Wednesday afternoon, don't do it then. Thursday, Friday.
Thursdays and Fridays.
Friday's best for me. Actually, Thursdays.
Yeah, I was gonna say Thursdays would be your best bet.
Yeah.
Okay, digital roadmap working group, we've got a report, so that's all we need for that one.
My,
Is that Kirsten?
Yeah.
Yeah. Page 10. Yeah.
and then my action associated with that was to talk to the chairs of all the committees to find out what problems they need to be solved.
Right.
And they, as I said, I was trying not to lead the witness with digital, because that's part of what our conversation was. So I said, what are your problems, or something, and then, so a couple of them were real issues for the committee that you could see being addressed by digital. A couple were like budget time. I was like, yeah, that's not really what I'm looking for. So I'll follow up with them.
But you only got
Verbally.
4
I think
responses.
it's about 4, so it needs some time to
Yeah.
follow up with people and conversations.
Well, summer's
So it's
over
been
now,
ongoing.
right? Summer's over, people kind of,
Yeah.
I think,
I agree.
like to.
They want to call Steph back now.
Yeah, they kind of don't want to do stuff in the
Yeah.
summer.
Well, they don't want structured stuff, you know?
Okay, great.
Can I just mention, you know, it says that to see if we'd be interested in including a digital strategy in the community economic development plan. It was in the long-term actions, number 2. It would probably be a sub-project.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be part of the economic development plan.
Okay. Advise that the digital strategy. So, okay.
One of the areas that Kirsten got started on, but I don't know if it's specifically referenced here in the digital strategy, was it's starting to do an inventory of connectivity.
She did
Yeah.
that.
To the
She presented at the last
servers.
meeting here.
Yeah.
That was really good.
And so I don't know that we have any follow-up items for the digital strategy regarding that, but that's, I mean, I think as far as the economic development plan, you know, including information about what our capacity for connectivity is.
Yeah,
probably
we're trying to
in place.
support any sort of business that uses.
That was one of like the big things that we kept on coming back to is like, you know, there's all these ideas like wayfinding and all of that, but what we agreed upon again and again is we need to figure out where we're at right now, what our capacity is, to see
Capability of our
where
systems to
that we
deliver
have
that.
now, so how can we upgrade if we don't know what we're starting from?
Mhm.
Yeah, and also it kind of overlaps with the health and wellness, because we also want to look at the safety and are we at a Wi-Fi capacity? Where's the danger of increasing the connectivity and the 5G and that kind of topic?
Yeah, because some people don't want more of these towers and technologies floating around. And we were also talking a lot about trying to tie it into some sort of emergency preparedness as
That
well
means we
too.
need to talk to Jen about that, and we've got an emergency response program already.
Yeah, and I think Ed was part of that discussion
Oh,
and he
Ed's-
knows
Ed's
Jen.
right.
It's big on the emergency part.
And-
Yeah.
and
But I think really what we were trying to do is in the nature of, or following this whole digital strategy, you know, project is that just try to find some pain points on the island, if there are any. Is what are the
Yeah.
challenges, and then can you apply digital? So I think we just
Right.
need
Yeah.
to get some more
Totally, I
responses back.
just need to get more
And
responses.
I think we were gonna set up another meeting, actually, and that we had an email thread going. And the last thing Kirsten said was, don't use my my corporate email anymore.
Right, yeah.
And
So
so I
ended.
replied to her personal, and then it ended again, but she never replied.
Oh,
Summer.
maybe you're ending up in her junk or something, so
Um,
give her a phone call.
Yeah, it's a summer, right? So I just wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, I need to set up more meetings.
Yeah. Well, the readings are falling, people, let's get these subcommittees going.
Okay, you guys, I got things I have to do.
Oh, just you, eh?
Okay,
The
so,
economic summit's just a when is it and it's happening, that information?
well, I'll quickly review where it's at, but I want to clarify first that, Steph, do you want to put that webpage up?
Yes.
I want to clarify first, that, so there's the Rural Islands Economic, now it's called the Forum.
So it's Rural Islands Economic Forum?
Forum,
And it was November
and it's
7th.
November 7th and 8th. So the Rural Islands Economic Forum, as it says down here on the webpage, which is live now, and being updated, but it's got a fair bit of information on it, is a grassroots initiative organized as a means for cultivating and enduring rural island-wide economic partnerships. So the words that are being used to describe it at this point are like economic partnerships and economic capacity building for our rural islands. And so there's a program that's been laid out. It's not published in detail on here, but so can I just drive that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
There is a program bottom at the bottom.
oh yeah, there it is. It's at the top as well. I'll just scroll up to the top of the page so you see it.
No.
So these are the tabs that are there now. Pre-registration is open to anyone, and as a working group here on Bowen, we've identified about 20 people that represent a diverse group of organizations on the island, and we've invited them with the material provided to us by the forum organizers. And I think everyone on that list has at least received some kind of invitation now or been talked to, because we wanted to talk to them, but through a Bowen contact, not through an anonymous email from the
So what do all
forum.
Committee.
those little blobs say on there?
Those are the names of all
So
the
the
different
islands.
16 islands that were the original
Denman, Texas.
partners in putting the forum together.
Are we there too?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
we're in the middle,
Middle.
red, down near the bottom.
Yeah, here. And it stretches up to Malcolm Island and down to San
Yeah.
Juan Island in the United States.
So if you click on program, does anything come up?
Yes, so it gives a program overview.
So how many people?
So there's in total 110 possible attendees. What they're doing right now with pre-registration, which you can do on the website, is you can pre-register without payment to attend this forum, which is $285, I think, for the fee for the forum itself.
And why is it limited to 110?
Because of the capacity of Poets Cove.
Oh, so, but that's the capacity of the conference room?
That's
or-
right, of the.
Conference room, yeah.
Yeah.
But the conference room, not the accommodation.
No, because they've got local B&Bs, accommodation at
So
Poets
Poets
Cove,
Cove, the ballroom can only take 110 people?
apparently, yeah.
I thought it was bigger.
I don't know, for whatever the limiting factor is, I don't know if it's the ballroom specifically, but whatever that limiting factor is, I think it's 210.
So when do we find out,
110, not 210.
No,
Well,
100.
it's- well, you've got to
Yeah.
express your interest before the 15th, right?
oh, is that the date?
Yes,
Oh,
the 15th of
okay.
September, and then I guess it's.
Sorry, I still have to
just
fill
after
out with
that.
one, well, I haven't,
Yeah,
you know,
I know,
connect with
actually.
one, and I got one more I haven't even reached out to yet, because I didn't notice that I had her on until.
okay, well, and that's fine, you see, the idea of pre-registration is to secure a diverse group of people that represent organizations that will bring a
So how
lot to
many
the,
organizations, how many communities are involved with this?
I think there's 18 now,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you really maximum of 5 per community?
Maximum of 5, some will only have 1 and others may have more. And conceivably Bowen might have 5 or 6 people attend. We've already committed to Helen and myself.
And I know at least one of my contacts
And
has pre-registered.
Okay, so that's 3, and I don't know if Natasha, you're still thinking about it, or because you had expressed an interest.
For me to go, if I can go, I'd love to, yeah.
There are different possibilities, because although there is limited, the actual forum itself has limited resources for bursaries, but there are bursaries available, but they'll probably go first come, first served to representatives of the native groups, because that's, I think, the way it's going to happen. Anyway, that having been said, anyone who's interested, even if you don't, if you need funding, you should still
Pre-register?
well, pre-register basically says that you intend to come via your own support.
Okay.
So you need to approach if you're looking for a bursary to attend. Or sponsorship, if you can get sponsorship for your attendance, personally, that would be another possibility.
I guess, I've always been interested. I just thought what they were trying to do is with this pre-registration, like everybody that they have on their list,
Yeah.
and then they were going to approve that, and then they were going to open up the rest of the spaces for people.
Essentially, that's what they're looking
So,
But if they're oversubscribed on the pre-registration, then.
That is a possibility. I don't know where they're at yet, and that's
So-
why they.
Poets Cove says that the Sea Glass Ballroom and Terrace takes 120 people, so 110 would be reasonable if you added in the organizers.
Yeah.
And the staff.
The
Fire
other people that are.
safety.
so I can apply now, or should I wait until this?
So what we did
Closes.
was we took our list, which had just over 20, I think, on it.
Yeah.
And asked them to pre-register. It's not, you don't have to pay now, and you can confirm later, but you should be pretty sure. Because we need to know that, if we end up with 10 people who really want to go,
Mhm.
right? We want to know that the names are on there, so we can have this conversation after the 15th with the
Mhm.
other islands to say,
Yeah.
okay, who's getting how many spots, right? Because we need to know that those people are committed. So don't put your
Okay.
name on unless you're
No, I'm
pretty
committed.
sure.
No, I'm committed. I'm
Pretty sure
sure
you
we'll
wanna
make
go.
it happen.
Yeah.
And they had asked me to be part of health and wellness planning there,
Yeah.
but it's a little hard for me to do that from afar, but if I go, then I
Yeah,
can actually
yeah.
help facilitate integration exercises and stuff.
I wouldn't hesitate to pre-register, based on your interest.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it's very interesting, it says we have a maximum capacity of 110 to ensure that the 16 plus rural islands and 10 plus indigenous communities will be represented. So we've actually got 26. Now, is Squamish Nation in that indigenous communities
Yeah.
list? Okay. That doesn't seem like enough, that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, there's limited resources for bursaries and whatnot. And my understanding from just being on the executive committee is that often the native groups expect to have their way paid.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And so that cuts into,
Yeah.
potential for us. But that having been said, and I'll just throw it out there to the committee as a whole, that there's been, so it's been.
So Rod, on the top here, it says, we're pleased to invite you as a representative of your organization.
Mhm.
So they don't want independent businesses then?
Yes, they do. There's room for individuals and independent businesses in a variety of different ways, but I think the preference will go to people who represent organizations, or at least industry groups. Whether they're actually a formal organization or not,
Yeah.
but they're there not just for themselves, they're there for an industry
Yeah,
sector.
because it says Rural Island Indigenous Organization position
Yeah.
on the.
Yeah, with the rural, with
Yeah.
the indigenous group, for sure. The other area that is, and frankly, it's, I think like Bowen Island, there isn't a strong connection with the local indigenous groups, particularly around economic development. That,
Yeah.
we don't really have
Most
a
of the
connection.
Southern Gulf Islands, a lot of them have actual reserves.
Some of them do, well, I don't
Some
know
of
about
them.
most of them, but some of them
Well,
do.
yeah, some of them.
Cortez does, and Malcolm Island, of course,
And
has.
Gabriel Island.
And Gabriel, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so native groups and youth are areas where, it's important, and we're talking about youth, we're talking about people, 25 or 30,
Yeah.
younger than 30. Are areas that I think are weaknesses in terms of both our invitee list, and overall, I think that there haven't been a lot of names come up. Young entrepreneurs in particular would be welcome to apply.
That's
So-
the problem.
I think we were gonna ask the Bowen Island Recycling Depot about that, because they do a
Yeah.
contest for young entrepreneurs,
Right,
don't
okay.
they?
I don't know.
I thought
Yeah.
they
No,
did.
I'm on the sponsorship committee and I didn't have a plan to do that. I was gonna talk to the knick-knack.
Knick-knack, sorry, that's what I meant to say,
Knick-knack
knick-knack.
Nook and the recycling people are two very different things.
Yeah.
Geographically, my head just went there.
Okay, so I just throw that out. Let me, because we don't want to go on too long, but, so I just wanted you to be aware of, so there's, well, I think there's 4 program, well, 5 is open discussion. 4 program streams, and the way it's being structured, so fostering sustainable entrepreneurial strategies, so sustainable both, you know, from a big picture, both environmentally and economically. Mobilizing local capital, which I was mentioning earlier with regards to our community futures discussion. And protecting and sustaining rural island cultures, because I think it's being recognized in all the communities that the idea of community and who we are as island communities makes us different than other economic regions. Attracting and retaining green and low impact businesses, again, because that's a core value of most islanders. And addressing community issues that impact rural economic well-being, and that would be housing and a whole wide range of issues that are sort of slated into more open discussions that happen around the more structured program. So there's going to be 4 streams going simultaneously for the 2 days. So one person won't be able to attend all of the streams. That's why having more than one representative at the program is important.
You need 4.
You really need 4 if you're going to fully be engaged. And there's going to be an interesting mix in how it's delivered. So there's going to be workshops, there's going to be presenters within each one of these different segments throughout the day.
Stuff too, right?
Sorry?
Plenary stuff where.
Not so much. It's really going to be focused on, there's going to be case studies, workshops. I think there's going to be a few presentations, but there's always going to be a focus on discussion and engagement of the different communities, because it's all about learning what's going on in the other areas, especially for this initial get together.
So are you doing a presentation on what we're up to, or is there an opportunity for that?
It will be all woven into the individual sessions that we attend and how we
So
contribute.
nothing formal?
Nothing formal, and that will be the same with the other areas for the most part. They did identify a number of, you know, topics, of course, you know, that are
So
going to be
you're
addressed.
prepared to
Yeah.
speak to this?
Sorry, just a quick question. If I do apply for this and they ask me to list which organization I'm representing,
Yeah,
do I say CEDC?
you could, but I would also write in health and wellness, because that's.
Yeah.
No, but I think under organization,
Yeah.
she's gonna have to say
Yes,
her business name. and
Will it
then
be my
sector.
business name or CEDC?
I would do that, I would do that, so they have a sense of the
My
different kinds
business
of.
name?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, but do both, like, make sure they know your.
But if we're
CEDC.
sending representatives from Community Economic Development
Yeah.
Committee, I think we need a motion of the committee as to who's gonna go and represent us.
I
Yeah.
think we've already.
We've done all that.
Did we do that?
Yeah, so I think Helen and I are.
Okay, so then at that
Yeah.
point, you two are going as our official
Yeah.
representatives, so you have to put down
And I'm gonna be
I have to
doing
do
the,
your
my
business
business
and your
name.
sector. Yeah,
Okay.
because you two are going on our
Yeah,
behalf.
talk about it.
that's right.
Yeah.
Could you also mention that you're on our committee, but just represent your own.
Business, okay.
Yeah, I think that's.
No, I'd like to, because it didn't seem like there was a bunch for health and wellness, and to be honest, like it's something a little hard to
Well, the
facilitate.
pre-registration list isn't, what do you say, a bunch for health and wellness? The
In the
pre-registration list
program or?
is.
In the program schedule.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's where these, like,
But are you talking about that?
I don't have a resolution about
That's-
who's going.
We
no, okay, well, maybe we need to.
I have a
maybe-
resolution that you're the representative.
No, but we changed the budget to
Yeah, didn't we put a budget in for
Yeah.
people to
But
attend?
for
Yeah.
Jen.
That's all you want, that's fine. I'm going to authorize
Yeah.
to reallocate $2,000 of its budget to the 2019 budget.
That's been approved.
Yeah, that's approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I thought
Okay,
you said you
so
wanted-
let's,
So at this point, we got $2,000, so that's 600 of that is registration fee, and then we've got travel time and 3 nights accommodation, right?
Wow, that's,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's gonna, for 2 people almost.
well, I'm
No,
not,
separate.
actually, you know what, we'll have
You're
to
separate
review
from
those
that?
budget
Yeah.
resolutions to see what's what, because I'm not sure it's clear in our list here, and I want to talk about that too. But let me just first finish with this then. I think it's important that people know that this webpage is here, especially all of our committee members, because besides just the people who've been working specifically on the forum, like Vaughn and Ed and Natasha and myself, we need to, and Maureen Nicholson, we also all need to be able to, if we have questions about what is this rural economic forum, know that you can send people either to me or to one of the other people on our committee, or to this webpage to learn more about it. And so what's interesting, I think, from our perspective too, is that, so we are listed here, of course, as being one of the lead organizations. And the other organizations from the different areas. But also, maybe Vaughn, you can speak to it, there's been corporate sponsorships that have been obtained, and it sounds like there's more happening all the time, but some of the communications companies, Cisco, BC Ferries.
Look at supporting partners on the website.
Is that on there? That's what I was just looking at.
That's it.
I think that's just,
Scroll down, it's got a long list of names.
I think it's just the organizer.
Yeah, and I think Kirsten was trying to get Sean involved. too.
Yeah,
Shaw's
Shaw's made a
listed.
commitment as
Supporting,
well.
Van Cities,
Oh, yeah, Van City.
Western Economic Diversification.
Oops.
Oh,
How do I go back? There we go. Yeah, Shaw's on there. So it's, this is for the forum in particular, and I wanted to again, just clarify for everyone that, that when we last updated our work plan and budget for council, we were actually talking about, and I believe this is the one that was for, the Rural Islands Economic Partnership, which was a rural dividend application. And that is separate from the forum, and it is meant to be as a result of the forum, the continuing organization that will be formed.
yeah.
And so we pledged in our last meeting and through council, our recommendation to council pledged a $2,000 commitment to that rural dividend application, which is separate from this forum.
the rural dividend, there's matching.
Yes. So there was an application was submitted for the
And that's on
deadline.
page 14.
No,
Is
I
it-
don't,
is
not,
this
this is for the Rural Islands Economic Partnership. I don't think it's in here.
Page 14.
Oh, yeah, sorry, our part of it's here, but the application isn't here.
No, but the fact that we've.
Yeah, that we've
the
supported.
council supported.
So that was submitted, and has been received, and of course will be reviewed with all the other applications. And I think that the budget in total was $130,000 for that Rural Island Economic Partnership application to the Rural Dividend Program. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone is clear that there are two different organizations or entities involved here. And the forum is what we're doing in November, and subsequent to an approved rural dividend funding, there will be a Rural Islands Economic Partnership forum.
To help implement what
To help
comes up
implement-
at
yeah.
the forum and make it like a year-long thing to lead into the next one.
Essentially, it has the objectives of the forum and communication among the communities on an ongoing basis.
To give suggestions feet.
Yeah, yes, to do with feet. Okay, so I think that's enough of an update about that. Unless there's any other questions about it. Okay,
Updates.
staff update.
Okay, I want to ask for your opinion on something that came up in our action items last year, and I thought it came from Wendy Cove. We were talking about different ways to improve economic development on the island, and one of her questions was, have you updated your location library regarding filming? So I created BC as a library of possible filming locations, and is it fantastic or not? So I looked into it. Bonnie Brokenshire is the contact for that. She was bylaw, whose bylaw was the permits for filming. And I talked to them, talked to the company, and they were keen to expand the library. And I talked to Tyler, who's in bylaw. He actually got a little freaked out about it because there's a lot of action in the Cove and there are problems. So Tyler and I fleshed it out and thought that were we to promote private businesses that are away from the Cove, that have parking, for example, the golf course, Tunstall Bay Club. I'm even thinking Artisan Square on Mondays. It might be a nice little earning opportunity for them. It's not a huge campaign, but it would be nice. I could create a communication piece with the support of you guys, how they would do all the work, but just maybe just as we're a liaison to this opportunity is available to you, it could be a revenue source for you, this is who your contacts are. What do you guys think?
Well, Tunstall Bay should be on that list because it's a private club.
Everything is private.
Oh, they're all
Yeah.
So
private. But Tunstall Bay doesn't let people come in as guests unless they're invited by other guests.
they have to go to the Tunstall Bay.
Whatever, I would provide them with information and they could decide what they're
It's
doing.
just places
Do we
where they
want to-
might be able to
Yeah.
do
If the-
filming or
Oh,
stage.
So you're making like a
And
directory,
they
you
then
wanna
have to go and
update the
organize
directory
it.
of where people
Like
can
every time
film.
they want to use the parking lot down at the golf course, they contact Wolfgang's office and get permission to use it. And Wolfgang, I don't know, they usually.
I think it's a great idea. You're
So
offering
we
an
are-
economic opportunity to people, they can follow it up if they want. right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we would be providing them with information.
So are those
Possible
organizations not already on that filming list?
Some are, some aren't. I'm not asking about the list itself. I'm just asking about the idea and if you guys think it's a good thing to support and should I put some time together?
Or should we be
Maybe we'll
waiting
share.
until the economic development plan's done or?
Oh, I think
I
it's
don't
just a
think so,
nice.
if you're being asked now, I think it's probably worth doing.
I mean, why it took quite a few phone calls was, I was struggling with what is the actual benefit, because when they take over a chunk of Steveston, they're now using Steveston's hardware, they're using Steveston's hotels, they're using all of the economy. For us, they tend to come and go.
Yeah.
They might have a wrap-up dinner at the pub. So I kind of put a pause on it but then I thought of things like Artisan Eats, or Artisan Square, that it's actually a bit of money coming
So
to their
is
pocket,
there
so.
They pay for
Yeah,
doing that.
right.
They pay for using our streets when they
Yeah,
park.
I know, they pay us. I'm
They
just
pay
trying
the
to,
municipality and.
Yeah, I'm not benefiting- I'm trying to benefit
And
businesses.
then what happens with the businesses is whatever they negotiate. I know people they've used how, and they pay, and gosh, if you needed your house painted, all of a sudden you got your house painted.
oh, excellent.
So there's and I know the film companies have made donations to the community in various things. They built the stairs down to Seymour Bay.
Okay, so there are lots of
So
benefits
there are,
Okay.
as long as
They've
they
paid-
negotiate it right, there's benefits.
They've
Okay.
paid me to move out of my house $500 a day
Nice.
for 3 days, because
Yeah.
they had
Yeah.
to take all the trucks by my house.
Oh.
So
$500 a day
They were
from
filming in your
Paramount.
house.
No, but everybody had to go by my house, and my house was in the background for some of the shots.
Right.
Shooter, the pilot, that's all our Budas Bay.
Okay.
So they paid me $500 a day to leave my house for 3 days. It was great.
So just as I think sometimes as a committee, we're like, what's our role? And we can't solve all of their problems, but that'd be a nice, good news story for this to come from us. A lot of these people are already doing it.
So,
A lot of them don't want to, but just to be like, this is part of what we're doing.
I think it's
to
great.
support
What do you
you.
think, Rod?
It's great.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, I would think it would be useful for the people who organize the filming, to be able, not necessarily individual residents, but for businesses to have contacts, and especially to know that those were people that were open to talking to them, and weren't just gonna hang up on them,
So I'll volunteer to look after that. It's probably all gotten to the surface because of my neighbor.
so would we want to invite other Bohemian residents to be maybe on a list if they thought they've got a particularly interesting location?
No,
I
she's
think
just gonna
that's
go to
fine.
the
I'm just thinking
office.
of our role of the EDC, it's sort of, we're just supposed to be helping businesses.
Well,
Now, I'm not saying not to help private people, but
It's not. it's
Well,
beyond
I mean, that's
this.
a
film
conversation,
is
I guess.
business, and they do bring
Yeah.
people to the island. Do they, use local services when they're here or not? So to the extent that they do, and we end up getting advertising because somebody will say, I remember being there. Let's go back.
Is there an association or something
Yeah.
that you're talking about?
Yeah, so it's Creative BC, and
Their
they're,
provincial thing. Right, if Wendy was asking
Mhm.
about it. Yeah.
it's not the only go-to, well, I wanted to put together a communication piece, he sent me this.
So would you
So-
use your space in the undercurrent to advertise that maybe? Because now I'm thinking, well, if you only went to like a handful of businesses and offered them,
Yeah.
are we being seen as,
Elitist or
Bias.
something.
cherry picking? I don't
Well,
know.
we need to, we
In the
can't support
interest of
individual
time,
businesses.
can I work
Yeah.
with staff to, we'll find out more information about just what?
Sure. So
Yeah.
two things though, I just want to be clear, is I really don't want them in the code. It's very,
No.
very stressful for Violet right now. I don't think if
Steph,
Paramount.
that's not our recommendation to make. We don't want them in the codes because they choose shooting places and it's a matter of working it out. Let's you and I get some more information.
We can turn them down.
They have to get
we're members
permits.
of this community, we've upset businesses in the code. So
Yeah,
we're
but
holding
but if those upset businesses are getting revenue, or maybe it's the wrong time of year to do it. The film industry is a big moneymaker in the Lower Mainland. And it's an employer of a lot of our residents. I mean, we
So
have-
we're just trying to decide though, if we're gonna put this out in some way so that businesses know
Can
that
list
there might be
themselves.
this opportunity. And if they want to, what do? They contact the,
that's what we're figuring out. So they could contact this person, or they can go through us, and we might
So
have,
just,
Well, do we want to facilitate adding to the list, or we just want to get the information out and let people be proactive
yeah, I
and
think
do
that
it
would
themselves? And I
Yeah.
think number two is the more equitable way, because if we ask somebody and we don't ask their neighbor, and the neighbor wanted
Yeah.
it, then we end up with,
so just to
Yeah.
clarify, you're asking about us updating a directory for locations to be filmed at, and then we're just gonna be letting people know that this directory is out there.
yeah, we're not updating that, we're telling people about the opportunity.
That there's a directory that could be updated,
Yes.
that they could add their name to
Or
it.
their
Okay,
location or whatever.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like
And then we could
non-biased.
just walk away, right? But I
Right.
think,
Well,
when we talk
I'm-
about these negotiations, I mean, we could be,
Well, let's wait till Bonnie gets back, because she
Yeah.
used to do it, and Brian Biddlecombe did it all before that.
she was quite happy to hand it to me, and so.
Yeah.
but-
So,
Well, I really
Now-
wonder what the business model of this all is.
well, that's what I'm
Because-
saying,
Yeah.
let's get some more information, put it on the
Yeah.
next agenda.
Yeah.
I was gonna kinda
It's
ask,
now 11:15, and
We need to go.
I've got to get going actually.
Yeah.
Okay, but we do, I think then, so you and Steph are gonna talk about it, you're gonna let us know
Yeah.
what specifically, what
We'll do
the
a little more.
economic
I've
benefits
got
are.
a file and a whole bunch of stuff from
Yeah.
history on
Oh,
this.
Okay,
Yeah.
was there anything else from staff? Do you have anything else in that?
She's counsel.
Or sorry, it's from staff, yeah, from council, yes, council is next.
We had, I forgot to look at my agenda. We had an update on business licensing and stuff like that at some, I think it was at the last program council meeting, but
I don't have it in.
and I forgot to bring that with me. But it's just some issues that have come up with people who found they applied for it and then found out they weren't appropriately zoned and stuff like that. And the,
Yep.
and the short-term vacation, I think, so there's a bunch pending, there's a bunch that have been issued, and if it was in the open meeting, we'll circulate the report to everybody. I think I remember thinking at the time, oops, this should be on the EBC agenda. and then-
Where's the short-term rentals?
We had a report on that, and
Is that, well, how would, like, maybe Steph, you could send,
yeah, there's two reports, and I think they came to the open council, so.
So this is the September 9th meeting, Allison?
Yeah, just a minute, I'm just loading it up here.
So I've got it on the screen where everyone can see. And so, sorry, we have short-term rentals or business licensing?
It wasn't short-term rentals, it was a report on visualizing, but I don't remember exactly where. But it was just, it was in the regular council meeting because we
Yeah.
resolved to add kennels as a thing that needed to get a business license.
Okay.
So, but I don't know.
Road.
This isn't liking me, I typed in the wrong password.
Business license update.
Yeah.
I've got a report and a presentation, which we can do better.
I probably both.
Okay, I'll do the presentation because it's probably prettier.
Maybe in the interest of time, would you
Well, I
just
was
single
gonna-
that out and email it? to
That's
the
what I
whole
just said
meeting?
I would do.
Oh, you are, okay,
I
all
would, between stuff, I would get that report and the short-term rentals, report, distributed to everybody.
Okay, super. Okay, well, let's leave it at that for
Yeah.
right now. We don't have the province and the Arts Council. I don't have any update from them at this point, I guess. Everyone is aware that they're hiring a new executive director, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jack is there till the end of December.
In December.
The rest are information items.
So I think we have just a couple minutes. Do we want to continue with paper minutes and agendas, or do we want to try to do them electronically?
Electronic's fine for me.
Yeah? Do you want to take a,
Why don't we leave it if do them electronically and those of us that want a hard copy can print one.
So what we're doing with the environment committee is they're the first ones. You guys, they just beat yet. It's just last
well,
week.
that's good, we should take their lead.
But, yeah, they deserve it. But then they agreed that for people who forgot the device or whatever, they would, we'd have a couple table copies. So we're gonna have, say, like 2 paper copies for the table, or on request.
Should everybody get the cover page so they've got the agenda? Like we do at council,
Yeah.
we all get a hard copy
That's
of the
fair.
agenda.
I do like the idea of having like one page to take notes during the meeting, because I think, you know,
Yeah.
people can
Yeah.
easily talk like this, but the second you
Yeah.
put your eyes down, you disengage. That's my only thing about
Yeah.
paper, but if we have one piece for like taking notes.
Okay, so at council, what we get is the cover page for the agenda and all the detail is on an electronic
I
agenda.
think that's good.
So if you wanted to look at the detail when we come to the meeting, you're gonna have to look at it on your phone or bring your iPad or your laptop or whatever.
Yep.
And everybody's capable of doing that.
Okay, well, let's follow that lead then.
Not paperless, less paper.
Yes, yes. There was a suggestion just at the beginning of the meeting that it would be helpful to get calendar invites. Is there any kind of system that does that in the municipality
What do you mean?
currently?
Calendar.
Well, you know, like if all kinds of things online,
You
if I
have
get
them
invited to
already.
something.
You need to
that-
have either like Microsoft
Right.
or iCalendar
Google.
or Google.
Any of the companies have it.
Mhm.
There's lots of
So on your phone, you've got if you're using
Calendar,
an app, well, even I use this calendar on here
yeah.
for my municipal stuff. I use a calendar on my phone for my other stuff. But you get a calendar invite, and Steph sent them out at the beginning of the year to tell everybody when the committee meetings were. And
Here
you
you
just
are.
hit accept, and it goes on your calendar.
Yeah, just
So,
that
okay.
last one went out, though, right?
So if we got all those,
Yeah.
We should have.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got dinosaurs over here with hard paper
Well,
copies.
That is beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? I used to
Not
have
only
these
Can I
that-
touch it?
beautiful leather bound
It's so
calendars,
cute.
one
I
page
have
for
just
each day.
decided actually to get rid of my computer.
Stephanie, you send that, 'cause, I think you have to individually accept them.
Oh, you have to accept the invitation.
Yeah, I accepted the first one, I didn't see it was a whole stack of them.
Yeah, because I got an
I love
email about this meeting.
No, that's not back
Yeah,
in
no, that's,
January.
this is in your calendar. Can
One
you
of these.
resend the series and I'll accept them all because I didn't
Well,
notice it.
okay, you know what you do, when you're in your calendar,
Okay, are we done?
Yeah.
Looking at your calendar?
Motion to adjourn? Yeah, Vaughn, okay, second. All right, all in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Okay,
It's not in my.
so do we want to do something next Thursday?
Yeah, we may just
Oh, that's the problem.
Yes, that was a good idea, yes. We've already adjourned, so we can do. Do you want to do an off the record critique of the meeting? All right, we'll do it next time.
Should be in the.
Which is me.
And Rob.
And are we inviting Helen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Helen wants
so,
to come.
okay, so next Thursday, do we want to try?
Yep.
All right, I just have something in town until about like 1 o'clock, so it would have to be early afternoon or evening for me.